And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the PCC Multiverse and Pop Culture Cosmos. Of course, everything that we do at Inside Sports Fantasy Football, go ahead and check out Chris Ardieri and I as we cover the world of fantasy football like no one else at Inside Sports Fantasy Football, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I have a great crew that joins me each and every time out for the Lakers Fast Break, where we cover everything going on with the Lakers and the NBA. So please check it out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Plus also as well, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. There's always a great thing to read or go ahead and see and do and interact with at popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. Plus also, if you need just your latest tidbits of news and notes from the world of pop culture, go ahead and check it out today at the Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. Plus, also as well, go ahead and check out everything that we're doing at The Happy Hoarder, Vampires and Vitae, Wild Beyond and Witchside, with Wizards of Wine, and everything that we do for you right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without a good friend of mine. It is the mistress of all Canadian radio. It is my good friend indeed. You got to go ahead and check out when she wreaks havoc on her husband each and every weekend at Vampires and Vitae. Plus, well, actually, it's probably every day if you actually asked him. But also, as well, you got to go ahead and check out what she's doing with her other projects she's got coming up in the future for Tabletop RPG and, of course, Wizards of Wine with Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross, and Melinda. A lot
Agreed.
to catch up with. Yeah, Josh could not come on the Monday show because he had internet gremlins all over the place. So everything moved up from one show to the next. Plus, we got a ton of news ourselves to go ahead and cover on today's program.
Man, oh man. Well, let's get cracking.
I know we only got an hour to do it, so we better get cracking indeed. First and foremost, to everyone out there, is obviously the big news. The SAG-AFTRA strike, the Screen Actors Guild, has come to an agreement with the studios, thereby releasing the Kraken, so to speak, back into the entertainment world. The entertainment world has now come to an agreement with the writers and also the actors. So, well, I don't want to say anything about the producers and directors. That's for another rainy day. But right now, Hollywood and the entertainment world seems to be now aligned. It's still created a lot of havoc going forward, as we'll talk about for one major studio here, especially when we hit the Marvels and the Marvel future. But for now, I think Hollywood can take a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I think we can all take a sigh of relief. We are not going to be subjected to an entire winter season of nothing but reality TV programs. Thank God.
I will tell you though, cool bro, that's my suggestion. As far as after reading Pet Sematary and Salem's Lot, you talk about Exorcist, American Psycho, or Something Wicked This Way Comes. I said American Psycho. Something Wicked This Way Comes is also very underrated, so you might want to look into that as well. So definitely good books indeed. But yes, the strike has now been taken care of. Everybody can now freely go back to work for television projects and also film projects. It is going to take some time to catch up. Again, there's a lot of studios still readjusting for what they're going to be doing, and it's going to affect later this year and also next year. We probably will not see the whole studio release schedule come back to normal until 2025.
No. Why would you say that?
Because I'm already seeing already after the article I read from one big studio outlet already.
Oh, but I just, oh God, I'm not prepared for an entire season of reality TV. I don't want that.
Well, there will still be there's some stopgaps, and there'll be some entertainment releases, but some of your favorites that were just in the start of production or maybe halfway through, those are adversely affected, and those are going to take some time to get underway. And in a lot of those cases, if they were coming out, let's say early to mid 2024, those get pushed back to mid to late 2024, and so on and so forth. The stuff in the middle of the year may get pushed back even further, and then the stuff in the later in the year, they get pushed back to 2025. It's just like in the gaming industry. When COVID hit, obviously that pushed so many projects in gaming so far back. Everybody's been talking about how great a year it was. And I talked to TJ Johnson on this, and you're going to hear that in my upcoming conversation with him about how I think that now this year, the reason why this year is so good for video games is because they're now catching up, not all entirely 100%, but they're almost all cut up with all the projects that they were doing in 20 and 21 and 22. They're now catching up and being able to release it to the public out there. You will see that same effect caused by the strike over the course of the next year or two. It probably won't be until 2025 until you see a regular flow like you did before coming up again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair, but man, oh man. I don't wanna go through the I don't wanna go through the bad times after we've gone through the rough times, you know?
I hear you. I hear you, my
Yeah.
friend. But again, a lot of these projects had to be started up. Oh, if there was something started up or planned to start up during the interim, that's only going to start up now. Yeah, just it's caused so many delays. I mean, Deadpool 3 is going to be finishing up, or at least I don't know how far. They said about halfway through filming. So they're going to be starting back up filming later this month. And that's something we're going to cover here as far as when it's expected release here coming up in a bit, because there's a big surprise announcement from Marvel we'll touch on with the Marvels coming up here in a little bit. But yeah, this is really something a lot of people can start taking a sigh of relief. I know the issue of AI was very important to both SAG and the studios. I think that was probably the last major hangup in regards to that. And it wasn't just about the AI for character actors or extras or things like that, where let's say you and I were extras on a film or a television show, and we would get our face body scanned in that they could use at any point in time. uh, I think SAG and the studios were able to come to an agreement on not to do that real easily. It was the larger stars. It was the bigger stars. Let's just throw out any name you want. Let's say, since we're talking about Marvel a little bit today, Robert Downey Jr.
Okay.
You know, I think the issue was higher profile stars utilized being having their AI being utilized for projects down the road. I think that was the major sticking point, and I don't know what the ultimate outcome of it is, but I'm hopeful that obviously they came to some sort of resolution. And again, it should be up to the individuals or their estates going forward on how they're utilized for the future going forward for AI.
Yeah, I feel like, though I'm not positive, I might have read this, but I might have dreamed it up a little bit as well, but, like, didn't Bruce Willis do all of that before
As
he had to
far as
retire?
that I'm not sure. We'd have to check with their family if that's been touched on. I know the only
Yeah.
updates we've received as far as it's been his health is
Yeah.
concerned, and how the dementia is really taking a toll on him,
Yeah.
as far as his ability to communicate with others. And I'm very sad to report that. And I wish I could report something better in that aspect. But she is, his daughter is still, one of his daughters is still saying that, every chance he gets, he still tries to be Bruce Willis in some form or fashion that tries to bring a smile to everyone out there. So hopefully that, you know, kind of helps people out a little bit. But yeah, it's a very sad situation there. But that could possibly be the case with Bruce Willis, and that they might have allowed for some imaging to be done for later use down the line. But we'll see. But that was, I think, the major sticking point from what I was reading and observing, is just the higher profile stars getting the same kind of protections that everyday actors were getting in regards to AI.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like an automatic, we're just gonna go ahead and scan you and get your voice prints and all of that stuff so we can just use you for forever, for
Because I was
until
talking to my daughter about this,
yeah.
and I was saying that if I was a famous actor, I
Uh-huh.
said, okay, I would leave it up to the estate, my estate, for 100 years down the line. Let's say there was this great project that they wanted an AI Gerald to come out for. I'd say, okay, if that's up to my estate, if it was in good taste, that's fine. But it should always be up to my family or my estate or the people responsible for me. And going forward, I understand that when you give yourself to public life at that high a level, you are going to have some things that are just out there, whether or not you can control it or not. But I do think that these studios should not have universal control of your AI likeness going forward, even if you started one of their biggest films or TV projects.
Yeah, and it really is quite scary already what they can do. I mean, I have entertained for at least a few minutes, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and, oh my goodness, what's the other guy? I did not have, Clinton, the 3 of them playing D&D together. Like, that exists out there. And heaven knows that probably didn't actually happen.
Tom Hanks was selling dental insurance, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
so, I
without
mean,
his
it's
permission, by the way.
yeah, it's already happening.
Yeah.
So, you can't even trust what you hear. You can't even trust what you really see anymore. Already. So you can imagine how wild and out of control it's going to get until there's some kind of rules or regulatory system put in place for it.
But it is, of course, the SAG-AFTRA strike. It is now over. The terms have they've come to agreement on terms. Really happy to see that. We are ecstatic because now we can get back to talking about entertainment. It is going to take a while for everything to start flowing in the way that it used to. But you know what? I am now looking forward to seeing these great entertainment properties now coming out at some point in time down the future for sure once again.
Okay, so if we're talking releases, right? So we know a bunch of stuff kind of got moved around and jiggled around. So I assume it's just so the companies would be able to spread out their financial
That's
year a
correct.
little bit better,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
are they going to undo all of that now, or do you see them sticking with it?
I see them sticking with it at the earliest. And like for instance, Dune. Dune
Hmm.
is which was the part 2, which you and I were looking so forward to. In fact, that you said that would get you back in the theaters. Well,
Yeah.
don't look to get back in the theaters until February 2024 because it's still staying on that February 2024 timeline. It did not come out last week, and it does not look like it's going to come out before the end of the year. And it looks like it's getting still staying on that February 2024 timeline for those exact reasons what you mentioned, as far as Warner Brothers having something decent that could draw in money during that Q1 period of 2024 for them. Again, you're going to see that going forward, that there's still some shuffling around. Marvel, and let's just get into Marvel because the Marvel's going to be talking about here in a little bit. Marvel just announced that they're moving all of their slate again of the movies that they have planned for next year, or that they had planned for next year, because Deadpool 3, which we just talked about being worked on and being finished up hopefully later this month and probably by the end of the year, that has moved from May, and we talked about it on a previous episode that they moved to October of next year. Well, now they're moving back to late July of next year. And that is the only Marvel property that's coming out next year as far as the movies is concerned. There's still Disney Plus series like What If and some other things that are coming to Echo, Marvel's Echo, which they had already announced with a very graphic trailer. That's going to be part of Marvel's Spotlight that a lot of people are looking forward to seeing in January. So that's going to be coming out. But as far as a movie, that will be the only Marvel movie as of now. Remember, subject to change without notice, seemingly. But it is going to be the only movie right now from Marvel, and that's coming out in late July, which is extremely surprising that they do not have a first week of May release available at all. This will be the first time, my God, is it since 2007? Because
I was gonna
2008
say,
with Iron Man and all that, they
yeah,
might have had one. I would have to check the record books just to make sure. But first week of May has been Marvel for over a decade.
yeah.
And this will be, as of now, the first year that they don't have that. That's going to be a trip.
Oof. I mean, I wonder if they just have something that they've been kind of hanging on to and they haven't really
Uh,
talked about.
and I'll tell you
I don't
what,
know what
though,
it could be though.
If I was Warner Brothers, I would move Dune back to that first week of May.
Heck yeah, I would. Yeah, absolutely.
Just saying. Just
Yep.
saying.
No, I'm with you
So
on
what are
that.
your thoughts on the fact that they're available to have a one Marvel movie next year because Captain America Brave New World, which was moved back after it was moved off the May of next year, it was moved back into May of next year. Now it's being moved up again. It's being pushed back to February of 2025.
Gosh.
Thunderbolts has been moved out of Christmas next year into July of 2025. And the Blade reboot, which has been talked about, how restructuring Mahershala Ali, they talked about how Mahershala Ali wasn't going to be the lead character. Then they talked about how they were going to rewrite it again to make him the lead character again. They talked about how they shifted from making it a $200-300 movie. Now it's going to be around under $100 or under $100 million or thereabouts. That has been pushed back from February 2025 to November 2025. So again, all subject to change, my friend.
Yeah, if there is one Marvel movie that's coming out next year, it might as well be Deadpool. At least that one seems to still get people pretty excited when they hear about, a new Deadpool movie coming out. I just feel like with some of the other Marvel properties that we have right now, it's just kind of a,
We'll
so
talk about here in a second.
yeah,
So
yeah. But I do think that, yeah, it would be smart of them to move it back to May, but I'm also okay if Dune moves into that spot.
we'll
Yeah.
find out what's going on indeed. But it is the SAG-AFTRA strike is now done, and the Marvel movies and other movies, other TV projects are being stilled, moved all over the place. We will try to keep you updated on the major happenings and major movie schedule changes as best we can. You can always check it out at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, or please let us know your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, speaking of Marvel, The Marvels is out this weekend in theaters. And I was actually going to ask you this before we went on the air, and I don't want. I'll let you make up whatever assumptions you can. So if you go to
Okay.
Metacritic right now, if you go to
Uh-huh.
Metacritic.com
Oof.
and you type in
Uh-huh.
The Marvels, which brings back Captain Marvel along with Miss Marvel, and just basically also as well, Captain, Nick Fury, just the basic, as far as action pick that looks like the Marvels is going to be, hopefully tying in somewhat into the future of what the Marvel is going to do with. As far as Monica Rambeau, Carol Danvers, and of course Kamala Khan, this Miss Marvel, what those three are going to be doing this point forward, plus also talking about how it's going to hopefully lead into something larger as far as the Marvel universe going forward, with possibly talk about the X-Men and things of that nature. So some of that may or may not be hinted in the movie that's debuting this weekend in theaters. A lot of rumors and innuendo saying that it is, and people who are watching it right now as you speak could probably tell us better on that. But the reviews that came out, if you look at metacritic.com and you go over there and you see the average score for the Marvels is one of the lowest ever for a Marvel movie at 53.
Yeah.
The opinions are
Mhm.
all over the place. But if you take a look at the sampling that they gave, as far as, because they have over 40 critics overall rated out there on Metacritic. But if you take a look at the samples, they throw like 15 at you, 15, 20 at you. If you take a look at the top ones that they have at the top, most of those were reviewed by women. And if you take a look at the bottom ones that they sampled, again, this is not just the entire 40 plus that they've
Mhm.
got. This is just the ones that they sampled. If you look at Metacritic, the ones on the bottom, most of those, most that they sampled were done by men. Your thoughts on this, my friend? Because again, I don't know. I haven't seen the film. I will see it next weekend, as what we're targeting. My daughters and I. My daughters are extremely excited to see it, and I'm very happy for them. But your thoughts, my friend? I've seen actually reviews already physically. I've seen it on YouTube, read articles, gone into detail, and it seems to a little bit coalesce with all with those alignments on that. I don't want to outright say it, but is that something that you're seeing as well in that trend once you're seeing those reviews right there?
Well, I think that it was a trend when the first Marvel movie came out, because I know I certainly had one opinion of the
Captain
Marvel
Marvel.
Captain Marvel, sorry, yes. Captain Marvel, and Robbie certainly had another viewpoint of the movie.
So what did you
And
think about the original Captain Marvel? Just so I
well,
can.
so I thought it was an entertaining as heck movie, but I also, you know, growing up, heard all of the things said to me that were said to Captain Carol Danvers as she was growing up. So it was incredibly relatable to me, and to see somebody on screen and to hear those things, kind of being hurled around, um, it felt is cathartic the right word? Anyway, it just felt great to see somebody who was told you can't, you can't, you can't because, and then she, it manages to move ahead despite all of the odds that had been perceptively stacked against her.
Mhm.
So, to me, the movie was incredibly relatable. To Robbie, it was not relatable at all. And I think that sometimes when you're talking about the difference between even male presenting and femme presenting people, I think that you do have an incredibly different viewpoint. You have an incredibly different way that you look at things, an incredibly different way that you experience things. And the what I think the Captain Marvel movie did very well was showing what the female or femme presenting viewpoint can look like. And it's rough. It can be really hard. It can be
Mhm.
incredibly disheartening. It can be all of those things that you saw in the movie. But if you've never experienced that, then sometimes I think that the default is that I'm being attacked because I'm a man. But that's
Mhm.
not at all what's happening. That's just showing the experience of what women and femme presenting people
Mhm.
have had to go through, and what they've had to see, and what they've had to listen to, and how they've been treated.
Mhm.
Now, I am not trying to sell this like every single person who happens to be female or femme presenting um, has gone through all of those things, because there are very lucky women who have not been told those things. But as somebody who has experienced that, particularly in the broadcasting industry, even you do kind of take your lumps, and you do tend to take them a little bit more than some of your counterparts. That's not imaginary. That's true experience.
And
And
I would not disagree with you there at all. I would not.
yeah, and so I think that perhaps the Captain Marvel movies and the all of that, maybe they're just constructed for a female viewer versus a male viewer. And
Mhm.
that's why some of the male critics are having such a hard time following it. That's entirely my opinion. I don't know. That's just stuff that I have thought about as the Captain Marvel movie came out, and there was that crazy reaction from it. I know that Brie Larson didn't do herself any favors when she was doing her media stuff for the movie, and things like that. And I think that that did hurt the movie, and I think that it made things a little less palatable for people who might have been okay with the messaging in the movie, but the way that it was
Mhm.
sold by Larson may have put a bad taste in people's mouths. All of that kind of stuff all factored into it. I do think, but it's just possible that this is a Marvel film that is made for female viewers, and that just might be all that it is.
I could tell you my thoughts on Captain Marvel. I enjoyed the 90s pop, pop culture nostalgia because
Absolutely.
even though that wasn't my decade, because the 80s was my decade, I still
Yeah.
obviously I lived through the 90s and still have fond memories. So I enjoyed my time watching that aspect of it. Brie Larson reminded me so much of Chris Hemsworth in the original Thor in that film. She
Yeah.
was very wooden. She was
Yes.
very wooden, and she
Yeah.
was not given great writing to
Yeah.
support. It was more about Nick Fury being Nick Fury for 2 hours as opposed to her being allowed to. And this is an Academy Award winning woman. By the time she'd already gotten there, she'd already won an Academy Award. So she was not given great material. And for thus, I thought it was a really disappointing movie. But as she's gotten some brief appearances in other movies, like, for instance, of course, Avengers Endgame, she's been allowed to express her personality more on screen. And I think that's translated very well to me personally.
Right. Mhm.
So I'm hoping I will continue to see that progression that allows her to. Now, I don't want her, you know, acting super goofy like Chris Hemsworth, because Chris Hemsworth has gotten to the point where, okay, I love Thor, Love and Thunder. That was really good. He went into a turn that was really good, but then he started to get really goofy in the last Thor movie.
Yeah.
I'm hoping she doesn't go completely off the rails in that aspect, but I do like the fact that she's been given a little bit more to work with, and I'm hoping to go ahead and see the Marvels for what it is. And I know if anyone is available to good reviews for this film, it's actually Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. As far as the character, her character and the actress that plays her, she has been thought of the as far as one of the shining lights in this movie. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to go ahead and appreciate that performance as well.
Yeah, I think so, and,
Because I didn't like the
um
series very much. I'm going to be honest with you. I did was not a big fan of the series, so I'm hoping to get a little bit larger and better look at all three of the ladies behind the Marvels, and be able to appreciate what they can do a lot more.
yeah, well, I think that you and I both kind of agreed that it felt like, Miss Marvel was really for, like, a younger teenage kind of audience,
Yeah,
so
it did. It kind of
yeah.
alluded to that. Yeah, several quite a bit. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So again, is the Marvels? Unfortunately, it still comes with a close to $300 million price tag due to reshoots and other things that went down, complications therein, which again, in the current state of Marvel, is something that I've talked about with Jeff Sloboda, who's in our chat with the MCU's Bleeding Edge. He said he loves Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau. Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala Khan, Miss
Mhm.
Marvel, is excellent. Yes, she is getting most of the praise of the film. Captain Marvel was terribly written and badly directed. I agree, but it looks like that he liked the movie, The Marvels overall. I know he's one of the first to go ahead and check it out. So he said he was going to in a recent interview that I did with him. So looking forward to seeing what the Marvels will do. But I don't know, when it comes to what we're seeing with the Marvels, $275 million. Obviously, with the all the other things costs involved, it has to probably generate 7 to 800 billion at the very least before breaking even. That's a tough thing to do for an early November release.
Yeah, that's
This
a
is
big
not
old
the
number.
Yeah, it's a big old number that I'm not sure it's going to be able to get.
Yeah, I'm pretty unsure as well because some of the reviews, that I have, kind of come across over the last couple of days just have not been have not been great reviews to read. So,
Yeah.
I always feel like Captain Marvel is one of those characters that I really want to pull for, and I really want to like it, and I really want to find compelling storylines in it and stuff like that. And as much as I kind of connected and sort of understood the first movie, um, I do see the flaws in the movie. I do see the problems with it, but um, it's I don't know. It's just she's one of those characters that I think I'm always kind of rooting for. I just hope that I'm not constantly going to be disappointed by it. That's kind of a heartbreaker.
Again, it's all about the material that she's given, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I will go there next week and see if it's something that I can enjoy. We'll see. I want to go with it with an open mind. I know my girls are excited,
Mhm.
and believe me, after the very, very lukewarm year that we've had with Marvel,
Yeah.
disappointing things all over the place. And in fact, I have got waiting for me the final episode of Loki season 2, which started off a little bit too talky and over explanative, and a lot could have possibly get over a lot of people's heads in regards to what they were talking about with the temporal loop and all that stuff that's going on there. It finally halfway through started to really kick in and provide some good episodes, and I'm looking forward to see how that closes out, and I'll talk about that more on the Monday show. I got that queued up as we speak because it just became live. So one of the things I'm going to go ahead and say is that the Marvel shows have been pretty lackluster at the very least for at least 2 years. There's not been too many highlights. You could probably say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for most was very favorable, but yeah, so far seeing what the advanced reviews are, seeing the word of mouth, it's going to be a uphill climb for the Marvels.
Yeah, and I think that honestly, after seeing how things went down with the first Captain Marvel movie. I'm not surprised to see it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for this one. So I don't want to say that it was expected, but I'm not surprised at the same time.
What are your thoughts out there on the Marvels? Are you going to go ahead and check it out this weekend? Are you excited for it? Or are you, like a lot of people out there, getting a little fatigued on superhero movies and the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the direction it's heading into? Please let us know your thoughts and all the changes in the Marvel movies, realizing there's only one Marvel movie as of now coming next year. Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Wanted to go ahead and mention Jeff Sloboda's comments. He said most people don't realize if you look at the average box office gross of all the Phase 4 and 5 films, you take away Infinity War and Endgame, they are about 120 to 150 million per film off. The box office film in Phases 1 to 3. It's not been a pretty sight as so far. Again, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 looks to be the only financial winner as far as movies this year, unless the Marvels really does something spectacular, which again, the odds are not in its favor right now. But my friend, there's still more to talk about on today's program this week. I wish everybody a happy N7 anniversary. So as every N7, I always remember, as you know, I'm a Mass Effect fan. They teased a little bit from BioWare's social media in regards to a possible new character for Mass Effect 5, which will come out probably after you and I are long since dead at this rate. But they did show another character, so people were getting excited and the anticipation and what kind of character it is, et cetera, et cetera. So that was good to see. But the biggest video game announcement was done by Rockstar this past week as they announced that GTA 6 is a thing. Oh, shocker upon all shockers for the original game, GTA 5, not the original game, I'm sorry, but the previous iteration has generated over 180 million according to Wikipedia, I think, or something like that.
Wild.
Some I got to look it up again, but yeah, it's well over 150 million, something like that. 150 millions in sales. It's second all time to Tetris in what they were saying, and what I was reading, if that's the case, if you believe Wikipedia. So it sold a lot. Let's just put it that way. So you knew the inevitable was coming. This is something that everybody knew. So they just a matter of when. We still don't know when. We're going to get a trailer sometime in early December. Speculation has the Video Game Awards, the Game Awards with Jeff Keighley, that comes out December 7th as a possibility. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but GTA 6 is on its way.
Yeah, about time. Really. I mean, okay, so I'm not an avid GTA player. I'm just not good at the game. I didn't play it enough. I don't know. But I I accidentally carjacked somebody one time.
Nice. That's not bad.
And well, I got chased out of the game, so I haven't logged back in since.
How do you get chased out of the game? I mean, I know you get a like a a warning or a level that as far as the
No, I just mean
level of
other people hunting me down. So I was like, well, this is not fun for me anymore.
Oh, you mean it was live? I thought it was just like you in the single player campaign. You were doing it on multiplayer, GTA Online.
Yeah. I was pretty risque at that point in my video gaming.
You go, girl, living a life of crime.
Yeah, seriously, like I carjacked somebody totally by accident. I still don't know how I did it. And it was like a hunt out for my characters. So
Wow.
I didn't have too much fun after that. So I just kind of stopped playing.
Okay. Right. If you're doing it in the regular game, you just get that wanted level up and you just have the cops running out. And that makes it fun with like you're driving, like through the streets with like 50 cop cars coming at you. In the single player game, trying to ditch them. Now that's part of the fun of GTA. Now there's speculation on where it might head back to Vice City, which you remember from previous iterations that dealt with the similar area to the Miami structure and all that. So they might be going back there because of the get it 6 VI Vice.
Right.
There you go. So that's what people are trying to compare it to, but it doesn't matter to me where it comes out. I'm just talked about when it does come out. They do not care or they don't need to care when it releases. It doesn't have to be a holiday release to
No.
guarantee its success. The previous GTA 5, I don't think was a holiday release. I think it was a April or May release, if I'm not mistaken. I've actually, when I ran video game stores back in the day, I think I was around. That was GTA 4 was when I was actually selling, and we had lines out the door for GTA 4. And I remember we didn't get our shipment in enough time, and so we had
Oh,
people
man.
standing out there, and they were so mad. They were asking for refunds. We had to give over 50 refunds, sending them down the street to Walmart because our store didn't have enough time. People threatening my employees. So it was
Yeah, I
really
bet.
just yeah. This is a game that people have been passionate about, or this is an IP that people have been passionate about for quite some time. Tell us, if you can, about, I know you said you're not really been into GTA after your haunting GTA experience, but
It
you
was
know
shocking.
just tell me, why do you think GTA has such an allure to so many people out there?
You know that the thing about intrusive thoughts is that in the real world, you just don't do it. In GTA, you just go ahead and do it. And I think that that's maybe some of the fun of the game is to just maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but just being the worst possible version of yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're walking down the sidewalk and somebody bumps into you, you're not going to swing a fist at them, but you might in
Hmm.
GTA, you know, and I
That's a
think that
possibility.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a stress reliever. Maybe it was a way to let off a bit of steam for people. And heaven knows, you know, there's enough frustrations in life. So if you find an outlet for it, then you're probably going to cling to it. And for a lot of people, I think GTA probably ticked that box.
It allows people to go ahead and live maybe a life that they've always fantasized about.
Right, the
uh
life of crime,
yes, the life of crime, indeed.
being the
So
bad guy all the time. Yeah.
yeah. Remind me to tell you a story about that after we get off the air here real
Oh,
quick. Yeah,
spicy
yeah,
story,
there's
huh?
something. I may not have permission to say it on the air as of yet. I have to get that person's permission, but I'll tell you off the air exactly a funny story. So about a life of crime that
Okay.
involves me. So, and I'll leave it at that. So
Gerald.
I was an unwitting partner. And you'll hear the story indeed. So I'll tell you that here off the air in a little bit.
Okay.
But I will say though that GTA 6, crime, scandal, hot coffee, whatever you want to say in regards to it. The fact is, GTA 6, from an experience standpoint, if it is anywhere near what GTA 4 and GTA 5 are all about, this should be one of the greatest experiences ever in video game history. I mean, I remember playing GTA 4, just absolutely insane. And I wasn't even into the single story or other parts, the multiplayer. I would actually just jump into a phase where they would just set up races with all the GTA
Yeah.
cars in there and just have fun just going around, on standard races with that. And, who knew GTA was a driving game? And yet it's evolved into more GTA 5. It's, they lay out tracks and people, it's,
Mhm.
just whole designs that the people would get into. And then the modding community got it. It is an experience like unlike any other game, unlike absolutely any other game. And if it is not that, GTA 6 could be also at risk of being the biggest disappointment in video game history as well.
Oof. Well, that's pessimistic juju there now.
Well, there's so much on the line, and it's not like Rockstar's not going to invest in it. I'm assuming that
Yeah.
they'll invest $500 million at the very least in order to go ahead and develop this game as best they can. I still think there are places they can go and things that they can do that they haven't done yet, and I'm just hopeful that it'll be able to go ahead and done. I mean, even to this day, it's still a staple of the streaming industry.
Mhm.
People just want to go ahead and still categorize their adventures online, and people are still fascinated with it. Fortnite, after years of declining residuals, they and actually laying off several people at Epic Studios, they just got a huge boost with the new season. So people just love going back to these old standbys and old favorites, and GTA 5 as the biggest really retail selling game of all time for the video game marketplace has done just that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another part of the game that I really loved because I'm such a huge nerd, was like flipping through all the radio stations when you got in the car.
Yes,
Yeah, I
especially
loved that.
especially Vice City.
Yeah.
Vice, yes, because you're talking about with that when you they put in sometimes over 100 songs
Yeah.
that you flipped, and it's actually like you can listen to it for hours. There's like a DJ that comes through. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is the attention to detail,
Yes.
even with the limitations of previously older hardware, was immaculate and was obviously something that we wanted to see. But the thing that concerns me though was the last Rockstar game to come out with the GTA brand on it, the GTA trilogy. If you remember that, about a couple years ago, we briefly talked about it. It was the 1, 2, and 3, I believe, that came out. As far as that, they came out in a block what just remastered, so to speak,
Right.
quote unquote, and that came out to horrible reviews because the fact there was just so many bugs and just so many things that were wrong with it. They've since fixed it in many ways. But then again, how many times have we heard a studio have to fix things in post after it's already been released, i.e., Cyberpunk 2077 and other
Right.
games like that, Fallout 76, et cetera, No Man's Sky, and all that. So the GTA trilogy, as it was called when it was released, re-released as a GTA trilogy remastered. Yeah, that's the only little thing that I'm worried about when it comes to GTA 6. Although, again, if it's GTA 6, I don't think Rockstar. I would think the odds are very good that Rockstar's not going to blow it.
Yeah, I don't anticipate there being an issue. Honestly, I when it's the game that they've been hanging their hat on for ages, I can't see them messing it up. Well, I mean, anything is possible. We have seen some pretty big oopsies in the last little while. So,
I thought 2077 Cyberpunk they weren't going to
oh,
blow it, and look what happened there.
yeah, that's
Although
true.
it's fantastic now,
Right.
but how much
Really
later
got to
was that?
fire that up again because I think we played it the week that it came out and we were like, well, this is not good.
Are you going to get
We
the
never went back.
Are you going to go get the new DLC for it?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I think that that's the part that has all the fixes in it, isn't it?
Well, there's some standard fixes that they had over the years that
Right.
it'll ask for an update when you fire it up, whether or not
Yeah.
you get it. So
Yeah, honestly, we haven't opened it. We haven't touched the game since like the week that it was released. And that was heartbreaking because I got like the not top tier but close to top tier whatever for the game and oh god. Yeah. Oh, I was so disappointed.
well, I'll tell you what, my friend, though, I am looking forward to it. GTA 6 again announced as a thing. Shocker upon all shockers there, Belinda. Uh, Probably come out sooner than Mass Effect 5, that's for sure, unfortunately for me. Well, again, I like GTA, so I can't say I argue with that. But you know me and Mass Effect. I mean, you can just
I
look
sure do.
behind my head right here, and you can see Mass Effect like staring at you in the face right there. When it comes to GTA 6, though, again, there's so much. There'll be a lot of hype, a lot of expectations, but also, for Rockstar, you know, they're part of the 2K. You have to go ahead and say how much to investors, how much. I don't really know that there's a number that you can put on sales for GTA 6 or a threshold that you can say, wow, this is a success story, or wow, this is not. I mean, to say it's going to do 150 million plus over the course of 10 years, that's a really tough call. Your thoughts on what GTA 6 has to do to be successful in your eyes?
Oh, good lord. You know what? In order to be successful, I think they just need to go ahead and make sure that it's a quality game. If they put out the quality game and gamers get excited about it, then I can't see there being an opportunity for it to fail. Whatever that magic number is going to be for it.
I mean, because GTA 5 was continuously in the top 10 sales
Yeah,
throughout the rest of the decade after its original 2013
something like that.
release. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that, as long as the game is solid and it's well received, I think that, if they don't repeat what they did with GTA 5, I wouldn't be surprised if it exceeded those expectations.
I want to give you a heads up on exactly the best selling video games of all time.
Mhm.
Minecraft is number one at over almost 250 million sold.
Yep.
GTA is about 175 million, give or take.
Yeah.
It's just an estimate, but yeah, it's about 175 million. So no chump change there. Tetris is over 100. Then you have Wii Sports because of what happened with the Wii. That's
Right.
around in the 80s. PUBG, Mario Kart 8. Those are some of the biggest sellers after that. So there you go. My gosh, I mean, the threshold is there. That's staring you in the face.
Yeah.
175 million sold.
Daunting.
Although, very daunting. It's like GTA 6 has to do, but I hope they don't set those heights. Because then you're talking about a game that has to last a decade and still be relevant, and that's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, I think really the pressure is on the development team and
Yeah.
the people doing the work and putting in the time on the actual game development itself. I think that's where the pressure is.
What are your thoughts out there on GTA 6? Is this going to be the greatest game, the greatest video game of all time in your mind? Please let us know your thoughts as the trailer will get released in early December and we'll cover it here on the Pop Culture Cosmos and we'll obviously post it when it gets available at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. So go ahead and check out your, as far as what we think on the show and then let us know your thoughts as well. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode, and no disrespect to Wheel of Time, Billions, which ended its run, Gen V, which dropped a whole bunch of the boys references in its first season, Wheel of Time, which ended season 2, pretty successful there as well. Our Flag Means Death, which didn't get the kind of excitement over it that first season did, but still thought of as very well for HBO and HBO Max itself, I should say. Loki, I will be talking about on the Monday show because I'll be able to see the final episode of season 2 here when we go off the air. But the thing I want to close out on is something
Mhm.
you wanted to discuss a little bit more about as far as the music industry, which you are still involved with today. And you want to talk about something from the now, and I want to talk about something from the then
Ooh.
that both are storming up the charts and are two of the most popular artists right now. And one of them is just came out of nowhere, and one of them did not. And the first one we'll go ahead and touch on is Taylor Swift. She
Mhm.
recently last week, and I was contemplating just bringing you on for a special podcast last week, but I wanted to make sure you got a Gerald free weekend. And that is Taylor Swift's 1989 redo album. This is
Yes.
Taylor's approved repeat of probably what people are saying is, what most fans are saying. I don't even know it's most fans, but the general consensus, I think, is the 1989 album is her best. You know, be that as it may, but
Yeah, there's
it,
an
it
argument there, I suppose.
there's an argument. People will tell you otherwise, but
Yep.
1989 maybe is her most. How about her most remembered? How about that? Can
Sure,
we?
sure.
Yeah. And the fact that it came out this Taylor Swift version because this is her redoing all that because of the trouble she had with her previous record company and all that, and this now hit last week as the number one album anywhere and one of her biggest debuts of all time, selling well over 1 million copies in its first week. Tremendous success for her. After a tremendous year, she is the biggest entertainer of this year by far, hands down. Tell me your thoughts on Taylor Swift, how it continues this continued success story. I'm very happy for her. Again, she came up with the country background, became a pop superstar, had the deal at the MTV Awards as far as the terrible interaction with Kanye West, the MTV Awards that year. The year what's 2010 or so whatnot. I don't remember the exact year, but she has overcome that period of time to be such an icon that and having basically one of the best years ever for an entertainer. So your thoughts, my friend, on Taylor Swift and where she can go from here?
The stratosphere, maybe? What's after the stratosphere?
I don't know. There's the
I
universe,
don't know
maybe.
either. I
Yeah,
can
we're
my
in the
science
multiverse now, right
yeah.
now. It's on this show. So
My science class is failing me. It's all left my
I
brain.
really want her to be that Marvel. It's mentioned about a few weeks ago back about the Marvel character that I guess it's it's one of the X-Men that she can become as she's a pop there's a pop star character, I forget what it's called, but
Hmm.
who has a special ability when she starts singing. I would love to her for her to do that role when the X-Men actually is a reality in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, it would be interesting. But as far like I just hope, here's my hope for Taylor Swift.
Hmm.
I hope that she has her feet firmly planted on the ground. I hope that
Seems like
she
it.
is I hope that she is enjoying every moment of this. I hope that she is taking it
Seems
all
like it.
in. Really does, right? But I hope that that's just not forward facing, that that's just not what the public is seeing, and in private it's quite dark. I hope that that's not the case for her. I also hope that Taylor, once she's finished with
Dazzler
this.
is, by the way, I'm sorry, Dazzler is the Marvel
Oh, okay.
character.
Yeah. I hope that Taylor Swift, after this tour is over, and after she's finished redoing the album, so she gets the publishing rights and all of that stuff back to her music, her masters and all of that. I hope that she takes some time and she finds a place where she can decompress and just not be Taylor Swift for a little while. I can't
Kansas City Chiefs
imagine.
game?
What's that? Yeah,
Kansas City
no.
Chiefs game?
Yeah, that's probably not gonna work out, but, I don't mean the relationship, sorry, I just mean the yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
she's there's still 15,000 cameras on her, so yes.
Yeah, I hope that she does find a way to find some sort of something that is close to some kind of normal as far as celebrity goes, because I just feel like the more and more famous you get, the more lonely you become. And I'm watching her just take off, and I mean she's always been successful, but this is a whole new level of success that I think we're seeing it like in general overall. So, gosh, my true concern is that she just finds a way to um step away from all of it, and just leave it be for a little while, if she's got to go away for a year or 2 years, or whatever the case is. I just hope that she finds a way to leave the Taylor Swift stage persona pop star behind and find a way to just like kind of live some sort of life. I know, poor little rich girl, she's crying in her private jet and her brand new Mercedes that's custom tailor made. Yes, okay, I get that, but as somebody just speaking as another human being, I do hope that she's has good people around her, and I hope that if she does run into any kind of trouble or finds herself in a dark place, that she has the right people around her to help her kind of navigate that and steer through it. That really is a concern that I have for Taylor Swift, which is weird because I don't know her at all, but I don't know. I just see somebody who's become so successful and become so like just larger than life, really. And yeah, I just hope that she's taken it all in stride and one day at a time and all of that kind of stuff.
Now you said before I get to my then artist
Yeah.
about you said something about some speculation that she and Beyonce may be trying to organize something. It's just again rumor and
Yeah.
speculation, which I don't really
Pure
like to
rumor
cover
mill.
normally on this show,
Yeah.
but I thought it was of interest that people might
This
bring
one
up.
is this one is great. It's because it's two incredibly larger than life artists who are just living their best lives right now. But
Mhm,
there is a theory out there that I have come across that like Taylor Swift started her tour in America.
mhm.
Queen Bee, Beyonce, started her tour over in Europe. And as the tours cross the oceans, they're moving in opposite directions. And Beyonce was there to support Taylor Swift at her her era's concert film opening and all of that stuff. So I won't be surprised if we see Taylor Swift supporting Beyonce's when that comes out. It just feels like the two of them have some kind of very close friendship, or the people around them are very good at planning things so the two worlds don't collide and both of them have the opportunity to achieve maximum dollar bringing inage. And I just as I was listening to this idea, this theory, I was like, yeah, I mean, that would make sense. I certainly wouldn't want to be hitting the same city after a Taylor Swift show went through or after a Beyonce show went through.
Yeah.
You could have the argument that one could have started on the West Coast and one could have started on the East Coast and all of that stuff. But I mean, these tickets are not cheap. So you would have to pick one or the other eventually.
Well, we'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. As those tours continue on, they're two of the most top-selling tours of
Yeah.
all time, especially in Taylor Swift's case. So we'll see how that continues to get itself out there. But before we head on out, my friend,
Mhm.
let's all take a trip on the Yellow Submarine, my friend,
Oh,
because the
yes.
Beatles,
Yeah.
after decades of not being able to have any new material put out there, finally was able to recover. In fact, actually, they had this for a long time. It was an audio cassette of John Lennon singing or doing a song on the piano. He's in this an apartment. He's just singing a song called Now and Then, and he's working on the piano, but it was obviously on an audio cassette, which is the first thing. That's what you had at the time. That's what he used to record as far as little bits and things of that nature, ideas that he was trying to come up with, and then uh, Peter Jackson, after decades of being able to go, they've tried, I guess, in the 90s to try and separate the track as far as Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and at that time, George Harrison when he was alive. They
Yeah.
tried to go ahead and work on this amongst some other things that they were in the studio, but they were never able to separate the sound of John Lennon and that piano as he was, trying all this out as far as that song is concerned. Well, lo and behold, they put it on the shelf. They put it on the shelf, but lo and behold, decades later, if you remember that Peter Jackson, director from The Lord of the Rings, who recently did an outstanding documentary on the Beatles, now available on Disney Plus, is actually one of my best of pop culture for 2022. He was, I guess, going through the archives and found that tape of what they were working on with Now and Then, including, John Lennon's voice and the piano, and whatnot. But he has the equipment. He has the technology that they developed already that was able to go ahead and separate it out. And lo and behold, all these decades later, the first song released by all four Beatles. Yes, it's AI did help in this occasion, and I think that AI, we showed that technology with the right approval from the estate, from Yoko Ono, and from the Beatles has created something positive with the use of AI and technology like this. They were able to go ahead and flesh that out and work on it to the point where you have George Harrison's John Lennon. You also have Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney all working on this track, all singing on this track, all performing on this track, and Now and Then has debuted to monster acclaim, huge numbers on YouTube, over 20 million views in its first 48 hours, and a number one spot on the digital
Yeah.
sales chart on Billboard. So your thoughts on the Beatles before we head on out?
I mean, are we surprised that it managed to achieve all of that? I mean, it's the last Beatles song.
Yeah, this could be.
It's
Peter
because
Jackson
there
hinted
were
there may
3
be
demos.
more. Yeah, he
There were
hinted there
3.
may be more, but that most likely this could be very well the last thing. And it came all from that demo from John Lennon.
Yeah, because there were 3 songs, right, on the demo, and we have already had 2 of them, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the others. I just know about this one that's here because
Yeah.
on that tape, because that audio cassette tape, I think that was the only one that was mentioned. So Peter Jackson alluded to possibly more, but that was just a tease. And I'm assuming that this is going to be the last thing that they can ever do together.
Yeah, and I think that, there are a lot of people who are just absorbing and soaking in that moment, and, like, just imagine being a Beatles fan from as early as you can imagine, and just in 2023, getting a new Beatles song to listen to, something new to add to your Beatles collection. How fantastic. How absolutely wonderful for fans. As a Prince fan, I understand that compulsion. I truly do. I cannot wait for the estate to open up the vault and just start relentlessly releasing his music that he has in there. He's got music that he could release for the next 30 years, I'm sure. Is all of it good? Well, that's another conversation for another day. But as To me, Prince was as prolific as the Beatles. And I think that I know how hard the loss of Prince was on me, so I can imagine how Lennon fans felt, how Beatles fans felt as they're seeing their heroes, starting to leave the mortal coil. So, yeah, no, I get it, and I'm thrilled for Beatle fans. I think it's wonderful, and I think that this is an example of AI done in a positive way, that is beneficial and it's not detrimental to anybody, and it's AI used for good.
What are your thoughts out there on the Beatles striking the charts possibly one last time with Now and Then? If you haven't checked it out already, please go ahead and check it out on YouTube or get the song today wherever you get your digital media. My friend, it's been great having you on the show, getting back in the groove again of pop culture. A ton to talk about on the Monday show, including Loki season 2, the results of the Marvels, and more. But any last thoughts before we head on out?
Let me think. Vampires and Vitae this Sunday. Our characters have dug in their heels, and we are now officially running an Anarch campaign instead of a Camarilla campaign. That doesn't really mean anything to a whole lot of people, but basically, our characters are trying to exist in a world by our own rules versus, the overlords of elders and all of this kind of stuff that the Camarilla kind of controls. So that's really exciting. We're about to do a bit of like a time jump by a few months this coming Sunday, so you're going to see the story progress quite a bit this week. For Wizards and Wine, The Shadows of Larkovnia. We are feverishly recording and editing right now, and those new episodes again will start dropping in January. So we're pretty excited about that. I'm really proud of the work I've done. I can't tell you if it's good or not, but it feels good at the table. So that's a win for me right now.
And that's all that counts. But go ahead and check it out today. Vampires and Vitae, wherever you get your podcasts. So for Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great